Hello, everybody. This is Brad Lewis from Premier Marketing, and welcome to our webinar on the 6 benefits of FIAs for retirement. This is the third webinar in a series that we're doing. So there's actually 2 more to come following this. And if you figured it out, we're doing them every Tuesday at 10 a.m. So you can go ahead and join us next Tuesday at 10 a.m. and then the following on the 26th at 10 a.m. And those 2 webinars are going to focus around life insurance. So the first 2 after Sean's webinar that we did when we spoke about how to increase your income, we're focused primarily on annuities and then uncovering the sales opportunities, where the last 2 are going to be focused on life insurance. So we're glad you had time to join us today. I know it's always tough to take out of your day to spend some time training, but definitely an important part of the game when we're trying to grow our business. And for today's call, again, this one is the 6 benefits of FIAs for retirement. If you have any questions along the way, please type them into the questions section of the GoToMeeting menu over there. And we're going to go ahead and get this started. So I'd like to introduce Troy Moon. Troy is our annuity sales VP. He is with Brokers International, an office of ours at Premier, and we work very closely with brokers to help build out annuity sales and life sales across the whole Integrity platform, but specifically for Premier. So Troy's our go-to over there, and he's going to do a great job showing us the 6 benefits of FIAs for retirement. Troy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Brad. And I have to say, that was such a detailed introduction. I can skip over like the first 10 bullets that I have here. It just jump straight into the presentation, but that's all right. You can steal my thunder. If anybody can, you can. But thank you so much for going over all of that. And like Brad said, everyone, we are going to be talking about the 6 benefits of FIAs for retirement today. And over the next 30 minutes or so, what we're going to try to focus on are a few of the things that Sean talked about in the first webinar. We're going to go into a little more detail. If you can remember back, a few weeks ago when he did the launch webinar, talked about 3 things that FIAs do better than any other financial product, right? He talked about eliminating market loss. He talked about how they participate in market gains and how they can create a guaranteed lifetime income, right? So we're going to, like I said, go over a few of those things in just a little bit more detail. But the goal is that by the end of the 30 minutes here, hopefully you guys will see some benefit, or you will be able to take 1 or 2 nuggets away from this presentation. And I think if we can do that, we're all walking away in a better spot. So like I said, without any further ado, I'll go ahead and jump into the presentation here. Of course, as usual, probably used to this by now, we're not going to be providing any tax, legal, accounting advice. Of course, all of these webinars are for educational purposes only. So what we like to do before we jump into talking about the benefits of FIAs, we like to take a step back and look at a few retirement challenges. I'm not going to go through the whole list here, but you guys can see that this isn't probably anything that's new to all of you. If you're sitting down with your clients, you're sitting across the table from them. Most of them probably have had or still have these types of challenges. So we like to start here before we go into the benefits of FIAs, because truly the benefits that we're going to talk about are actually solutions to these types of challenges that you see on the screen. And I like to take just a minute or two to kind of tell my own personal experience with some of these. Like I said last week when we were talking about the long-term care section of that confidential needs analysis, most of us have some sort of personal connection to something that maybe happened in the past or maybe has happened recently to long-term care. I like to give a little testimonial, again, just a minute or two, about some of these challenges that happened somewhat recently to me. So was sitting down with my dad. This is several months ago. We were having breakfast, catching up, and he brought up the fact that he was thinking about retiring, and he was going to retire. He turned 65 in June, and I've given this presentation 100 plus times, but it's not really something that I sit down and give to my dad. Right? We don't talk much about what I do for a living, but we were talking about retirement that morning, and without me even prompting him, he mentioned three of the things on this list. Right? So he talked about how he was concerned about potentially outliving the money that he had put aside, that he had saved for retirement. He also talked about inflation. Of course, inflation is one of those buzzwords we've heard over the last several years, right? Will he be able to keep up with the cost of living? And then lastly, he didn't put it in this specific term, but avoiding market downturns. He was concerned that, if the market goes down, his retirement is going to take a little bit of a hit as well. So I like to tell that story just because I'm not out in the field like you guys are, sitting across the table from clients. So that was kind of a light bulb moment for me, and it kind of gave me the feeling that this is not just a slide with a bunch of random stats on it, right? This is real life. These are real life challenges that your clients are having every day. And the great part about it is, and which we're going to see over the next several slides, the great part about it is FIAs can help relieve or be a resolution to some of these challenges. So take that for what it is. But like I said, these are real concerns of real people that we're going to be running into every day. So number one, let's take a look at the power of indexing. Like Sean said back in the first webinar, FIAs at their core truly can eliminate market loss, right? That's why they're such a powerful vehicle. Okay, so what we're going to do here on this slide, we're going to look at 100,000, and that 100,000 is going to grow over time based on a hypothetical 50% participation rate. For those of you who are not familiar with a 50% participation rate, really all that means is whatever the total performance is of the index that we're tracking, we're going to participate in half of the total return. So for the purposes of this hypothetical example, we're using a 50% participation. So you can see, again, we're starting out with 100,000, and we're going to assume that in that first year, whatever index or the benchmark that we're seeing is going to increase by 10%. So naturally, with the 50% participation, we're going to participate in 5% of that total return, gets us to 105,000. Pretty easy, simple scenario here, visual. The next year, this is where we're really going to show the true power of FIAs. The next year, we're going to assume that the index decreases by 12%. Okay, obviously not something that we want to have happen, but we do have those years. So when the index decreases, again, in this example by 12%, here's the true beauty of a FIA. The side, again, we are eliminating market loss. So any downside volatility, we're not going to be participating in. Okay, so your client was at 105,000. There was a down year. That high water mark of the 105 is going to stay at the 105. And again, I said that's the true beauty of an FIA. Of course, we want to see growth, and it may not be the easiest conversation to go back to your client after a term and say that we didn't earn anything this year. But it's really a chance for you guys to have the conversation with the client that even in a down market, the FIA was able to keep the value. Okay, we're eliminating that market loss. And on the flip side of that, we're also able to participate in those gains, as you can see over the next few years, when there are increases in the index or whatever been using. When there's increases, we were able to lock in and capitalize on those. So number one, the quick recap: power of indexing. It truly is a great benefit of an FIA. Again, we're able to participate in those gains, and then when there is the downside market volatility, we're able to maintain the contract value. Number two, security and guarantees. So this is one that sometimes is overlooked, and that's why this slide, and then there's a slide at the very end where we're going to talk about avoiding probate. Two things that, like I said, I feel like sometimes are overlooked on our side of the industry. Really what we're talking about here, and you can see with the bullet points, FIAs are backed by the financial strength of the company, okay? And each company must meet stringent regulations at the state level, okay? So one way to measure a financial company's strength is through its rating, okay? I would blanket it. Most all insurance companies have some sort of rating. Now, there are a few outliers there, but for the most part, the companies that we're working with all have a financial rating. That the ratings are an assessment of the insurer's financial strength and their ability to meet its ongoing obligations and guarantees. A lot of times we get asked, well, how are these ratings? How do they come up with these ratings? Well, there's a number of rating agencies. Sure, you've heard of some of them: Moody's, AM Best, Standard & Poor's. They look at a variety of different factors. They look at liquidity, business strategy management, a bunch of different other things. Why is this important? Well, it's important for all of us to consider an insurer's financial ratings before recommending a product with that particular carrier. The rating can determine a number of different things, most notably interest rates, right? If we're working with a company that has a strong financial rating, we know that most of the time they're going to be able to provide good interest rates. They're going to be able to provide good renewal rates, and all of those things are an important factor when you are recommending a product with a company to your client. So we like to point this out. Keep an eye open for the insurance company that you are recommending to your client. Keep an eye out for their rating, because it is a very important factor when making that decision. 3. This is one of my favorite slides. We're going to talk just a little bit about how FIAs grow tax deferred. And what we mean by this is taxes are not due until money is withdrawn from the annuity contract. Okay, so I'll take a step back. I'll just repeat that. Annuities grow tax deferred, meaning that taxes are not due until money is withdrawn from the contract. A lot of times, that's something that's overlooked as well. When we couple that with the fact that FIAs earn compound interest, this results in a triple compounding interest. Okay? What I mean by that is you're earning interest on your principal, you're also earning interest on your interest, and then you're earning interest on the money that you normally would have paid in taxes. If that makes sense. So again, just to take a quick step back, we're talking about a triple compounding effect. Earning interest on your principal, interest on the interest that's earning, and then you're also earning interest on the money that normally would have been used to pay in tax. Okay, so in this hypothetical example, the visual that you guys are all seeing right now, we're going to assume again the account value is $100,000, and we're also going to assume that it is earning 5% annually. And the last thing that we're going to assume is that we are going to calculate a federal income tax 25%. Okay. So you can see the green line at the very bottom. We're going to take a look at that first. This is when we would be taxing the account every year. Okay, so there's some vehicles out there that are like that. Like a CD, I think is the first one that comes to mind, where every year the the contract is going to be taxed. Okay, so you can see in doing that it is growing to an amount that is substantially less than the other two lines. Okay. Now let's take a look at the middle line, and it appears to be gray, at least from my view. But when we look at the middle line, we're making the same assumptions with the 5% annual interest being credited, and then 25% federal income tax. Except this line, they're not going to take taxes out until after 10 years. So you can see just by waiting the 10 years to take taxes out, that line grows to a significantly larger amount than the bottom line. And then lastly, we'll take a look at the top line. Okay, we're going to compare it to the bottom two lines. That is showing the annuity growing tax deferred all the way through the end of the 30 years. Okay, so of course we can see that by doing that, it grows to a much larger amount than the other two lines. Now, I understand the reality of just kind of setting it and forgetting it for 30 years. That's not going to happen for every client, but I do think that this chart is a really good way to show the power of FIAs and the power of deferring tax. And again, that's why I like it so much. And it's one of those things that sometimes is overlooked, whether the client not aware of it or whether the agent just overlooked it. But it is a powerful benefit that FIAs have, the ability to grow the client's funds tax. Number 4, we're going to look at how FIAs eliminate sequence of return risk. Okay. Now, in order to understand how they can eliminate that risk, we first have to understand what sequence of return really is or what it means. And to do that, we're going to look at Bill and Jill. And Bill and Jill have invested the exact same amount into their retirement. They both take the exact same withdrawals each year, and they both receive the exact same market return over the course of their retirement. Okay, so for this hypothetical example, again, we are going to assume that they've invested the exact same amount, they take the exact same withdrawals, and they have the exact same market return over the course of their retirement. So by taking all of that into consideration, we would think that their retirement will look identical. Well, that may not be the case always. Jill sees more market gains early in her retirement. Okay. So again, for this example, Jill sees those gains early in her retirement, and she sees losses later in her retirement. Yeah, no problem. Where on the other hand, Bill, we just flipped the scenario with Jill. We flipped it, and he sees losses early, and then more gains later. Again, over the course of retirement, they both see the exact same total return, but they are experiencing those returns in a different way. Again, Jill saw those gains early and losses later, where Bill saw losses early and gains later. And this is exactly what sequence of returns is. So sustaining losses, you can see right here, sustaining losses early in retirement, in addition to taking withdrawals, can reduce the amount of principal earning interest in future years so dramatically that the retiree could run out of money. Again, this is exactly what sequence of returns is and the risk that comes along with it. It's not the rate of return, but rather the order or the sequence in which those returns happen once you stop putting money into the account and start taking money out. Again, for Bill, the negative returns early in his retirement, on top of taking those withdrawals, could potentially drain his retirement portfolio and result in him running out of money too early. Whereas on the other hand, Jill, she had those positive returns early, and that helped her grow her retirement. And even with those ongoing withdrawals, she was able to sustain her retirement well into her later years. So again, that is exactly what sequence of returns risk is. And you'll see here an FIA with cash value could allow Bill an alternative source of supplemental retirement funds. These funds would be unaffected by negative market returns and could be used when his investments are down, essentially eliminating sequence of returns risk. Number 5, we're going to talk about guaranteed lifetime income. Again, going back to the very beginning of the presentation, I talked about the 3 things that John mentioned in the launch webinar. Guaranteed income is one of them. And really what we want to show here is the power of guaranteed income with an FIA. Looking at traditional investments, right, which would be the orange and gray on this chart, anybody can pay back interest and principal, right? So you can see the orange is the principal, and again, it's not rocket science, but anybody can pay that back, right? Any type of investment account, it doesn't matter what it is. You're dumping in a amount of money, and that money has potential to earn interest, and then anybody can pay that back over your lifetime. Where FIAs are slightly different, again, an FIA is the only vehicle that can provide this, is they have what's called mortality credits. Okay, and the mortality credits are a separate bucket of money that the insurance company puts aside for lifetime income, and it's going to be based on the client's age, of course. And the older you are, the more mortality credits that you have. And that is how the insurance company is able to pay out that lifetime income, no matter what the account value is. If it's been drained to zero, those payments are still going to be paid. The other great thing about guaranteed lifetime income stream is it doesn't matter if the market is level, up, or down. That payment is not going to change. It's when the word guaranteed is used, it is a guaranteed payment that the client will receive for as long as they're living. The other benefit to that as well is there's an option for joint, right? So the spouse can be covered as well. It doesn't have to just be based on an individual life. So you guys are able to provide your clients with a opportunity, again, to have both lives covered, and you're taking all of the guessing out of it. There's software that the folks over at Premier can run reports, and you can get down to the penny of what your clients will get in retirement. And again, we're taking all the guessing out of it. It's going to be that payment for as long as the client's living. And again, with joint covers both lives. So for as long as either of the clients are alive, they're going to get that payment. And just to kind of recap that, because we get that question a lot, how is the insurance company able to provide that? And again, it goes back to that mortality credit that the companies have in a separate bucket of funds where they're able to set that money aside and pay the client for as long as they're living.
So I guess
And last but not least, number 6, avoiding probate. And I had mentioned this earlier. There are a couple of different things in this presentation that kind of fly under the radar, and this is one of them. So you can see here, annuities, life insurance, go direct to beneficiaries and avoid the probate process. As most of you may know, the death benefit of a FIA is going to be paid directly to the named beneficiaries. And like I said, this process avoids probate, which sometimes can be lengthy, right? And not only lengthy, it can be expensive. Based on some of the research that we've done, and it will vary by state, of course, but based on the research we've done, probate fees can range from 3 to 7%. So, we put an example here. If one of your clients has a $300,000 FIA, you could potentially be saving them between $9,000 and $21,000 in probate. This is a feature, again, that kind of flies under the radar. It's not talked about a lot. But it is something that you are all able to discuss with your clients and kind of give them that peace of mind that, when that day comes, you guys are able to protect their beneficiaries and avoid a potentially lengthy and expensive probate process. So that's what I had for today. As Brad mentioned at the beginning, over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be looking at life insurance. So those are fantastic presentations, fantastic webinars. If you guys have time to join, please do. I would highly recommend it. But for now, Brad, I'll throw it back to you. Been kind of keeping an eye on the chat. I don't know if there's any, it doesn't appear that there's any questions, but if you want to double check that, Brad, we can address anything that we need to, but appreciate everybody's time, and I'll throw it back to you.
You bet. Thanks, Troy. That was awesome. Hey, do you mind going to the first slide with the concerns on it?
Yes. Of course. Let me go back there.
Yeah, I don't see any questions either, but if anybody has any, please go ahead and chat them in.
There we go.
Let's see. I have one. Can we get our own annuity FIA? Absolutely. Yeah, you can write one on yourself. Absolutely. Just reach out to one of the team members and we can help you with that. We have a lot of our agents out there that actually do their SEP IRA. As a business owner, you're independent business owner, you're allowed to do a SEP every year. You want to meet with your tax accountant on that and decide what the dollar amount would be. We have a lot of our producers out there that will write a FIA for their SEP each and every year. And it's a great way to accumulate and have safety and protection as well. So I just wanted to touch on a little bit on the retirement challenges here too, because this is where the sales opportunity comes from. All of you on the phone today are specialists in helping clients solve their problems, right? So your job is to uncover what their problems or their concerns are and then help them solve those problems. So this slide really does a great job of pointing out concerns that your clients may have and that you can help them uncover during the fact-finding process, maybe some of those concerns that they have. So just like Sean mentioned, do you have anything that acts like life insurance, such as a 401k, brokerage account, those different things that we have there that he touched on in the fact-finding process. This is a great slide that would help you have ideas with your clients of what their concerns would be. I wouldn't say everybody has these concerns or all of these concerns, but I would say a majority of your clients has at least probably 2 or 3 of these concerns or ideas that they want to address. So I just think that's a great slide to capture and to take a screenshot out of while you're on the call today. And then I also wanted to mention one of the benefits of LARC, so Life and Annuity Resource Center, which you all would have access to not only learn more about annuities through the training platform, but also on the very bottom, we have some closing clip by Tom Hegna that actually walk through the sales process or the conversation that you would have with the client to address a lot of these concerns too. So I would point you that direction, review those to gain some knowledge and confidence of how to present and talk about annuities with your clients and address some of those concerns, because Tom does a great job with that on that as well. So that's what I had, Troy, to add anyway. So just wanted to throw that out there and make sure that I pointed that out. And I don't see any additional questions at this time. Let me see, double check. Yeah, I don't see anything else at this time at the moment. So with that, I just want to remind everybody again that next Tuesday, same time, same date. So Tuesday, August 19th at 10 a.m., we're going to have Brad Weber with us, and he's going to talk about the 8 reasons everyone needs whole life insurance. So he'll cover whole life insurance and then IULs as well in that one. And then on the 26th, what life insurance do I write? So we'll dive into what's the appropriate product for the sale once we uncover the need as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up. Troy, thanks again for joining us today and talking about the benefits of FIAs for retirement. Always appreciate you and the support that we get out of your team over there as well. So everyone have a great day, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.